I guess you're all NIO clients, NIO users, so you all like design. That's great. I speak about spaces, not products, but spaces. And what designers need to do is shape spaces for people, because we all use spaces and we have basic human needs. We want to feel safe, physically safe, but also mentally safe. We want to belong to a group. You belong to the NIO group, the user group, the community of this place. You belong to a family, you have colleagues, you have friends. You like to be connected with other people. But you're all individuals, so you also want to express yourself. You want to be your whole self and show who you are and what your own values and your own taste is. These needs, they are universal and they don't change over time. But there are other forces that shape how these spaces are being made. Business, for instance. A company like NIO has specific values, design values, technical values, and that's why this space, for instance, has a specific look and feel. It has to do with NIO, how they want you to experience the brand. This is a brand space. Then the environment shapes what spaces look like. And the environment, I mean the planet. We all know that we have a climate crisis going on, and that means that if designers design buildings or interior spaces, they should take care of the planet better than they have been doing so far. Then there's society. A bit complicated on the Sunday morning to go into that. And science. There are developments in science, technological developments that also influence the way spaces are designed. These forces, they are not universal and they change over time. So now some truths about spaces. We spend around 90% of our time indoors in spaces. We are transitioning as a society from owning products and owning spaces to sharing products and sharing spaces. Maybe you know co-living facilities, co-working facilities. These are shared between people, and in Europe there's a lot of car sharing initiatives also and bike sharing initiatives. So many things are being shared, at least in Europe where I come from. We are also changing from appreciating stuff, products, to appreciating experiences. And experiences not necessarily are related to products. I just was brought here in the NIO car, and it was a great experience just to be in the car. We experimented a little bit with the self-driving, the autopilot. There was music. It was a very fluid experience, very nice. Spaces offer sensory experiences. That means they speak to our senses. We can see, we can touch and feel, we can smell, we can taste, and they impact us mentally and physically, these experiences. But this impact is different for all of us. Some people like noisy environments, for instance. They give a lot of energy. Other people, they hate noisy environments. They think they're way too busy and they are very tiring. So that changes per individual how we experience a space and the product. Then spaces have a very specific location. We are here in Shenzhen, in the NIO showroom. That is part of this shopping mall. That's the context. But our needs change over time. So maybe NIO is here now with this showroom, but maybe in 5 years' time they think this concept is totally old-fashioned. We want to move out from the shopping mall into the countryside or into the airport or I don't know what. And then this space needs to have a different role, a different function. And maybe it will be converted into a hotel or an apartment building. We don't know. But that should be possible. And spaces exhaust the planet. I'm sorry to say, but all of the materials that you see here, they have been brought, they have been from somewhere to here, they have been made in a factory and been brought to here, which is of course quite harmful for the planet if we look at it. So we need to be careful with the materials that we use. So all of this leads to some principles for the future of spaces. Designers need to make spaces which are meaningful to people, memorable to people, and multi-sensorial. They need to speak to the senses. So just a space for the sake of a space to have, I don't know, to make an impression is not good enough. Designers should prioritize people's health and well-being. So if they design a space, that space should make you feel good. In order to do that, they better involve you, the user community, in the design process. It will make you feel proud of the space, and you will be more happy if you use that space that you have been involved in from the beginning. So maybe the next generation of NIO clubs or NIO showrooms, they will reach out to you and ask you what you like. Would you like to have a coffee bar? Or would you rather like to have a gym? Or would you rather like to have a big cinema here and no coffee? Maybe you can shape the next NIO showroom. And whatever has been built here, it should be easy to personalize as much as possible and shared as much as possible and be able to change over time. Because I explained now this is a showroom for NIO, but maybe in a couple of years' time, NIO is out of this space, and then what? We need to be able to change this place into something else without needing to tear everything from the wall and take the floor out and demolish everything. Not a good idea. And last but not least, we need to minimize the environmental impact of spaces. So if you translate all of this into what that could look like, what that could be like, I will give you some examples. The first example, if you want to create meaningful, memorable, multisensorial experiences, is coming from a shop. And this is a shop from the Marni fashion brand. Maybe you know it. This is a shop in Milan. And what you can see here, you can see better here, is an installation designed for an artist. And this artist will come in and work here and make this kind of stuff for a couple of weeks. You can buy the things that the artist makes. And then later, a couple months later, there will be another artist coming in here and creating something. So if you go to this fashion shop in Milan, there's always something going on, and there's always something different going on. So you have a reason to go back. And if you go back, you don't necessarily go back for the fashion, but you can also go back to see what the artist has created, look what the artist is making, and maybe buy something that the artist has been making. It's always different, it's always surprising. We need to think phygital, a combination of digital and physical. Why? This is a physical shop in New York, but it is a physical shop for digital fashion. So the shop is empty, and if you go in, you take your phone, you go to the website of this digital fashion brand, you see the digital fashion in the space, And then you make a photo of yourself in the digital fashion piece. So you have a physical space with digital fashion, and you can make a photo of yourself wearing the digital fashion and post that photo on WeChat, on Instagram, everywhere on social media. So your experience is physical, you're in a space, but the experience can be shared digitally. So the reach of that experience is much wider than only here in this space. Then designers should engage the senses, smell, etc., etc. But, as I explained before, this experience is different for every individual. So how do you do that in a really good way? This is a bakery in France. I don't know if you have been to France, but they make delicious croissants and baguette. Nothing new, the baker is making bread, but he's doing so in the shop. So if you enter the shop, you smell the delicious smells of the baker making croissants. Smells good, and you almost want to take the souvenir of that experience back home. And that souvenir is lying here, you can take it home. So by combining the bakery with the retail store, you offer a great experience that is very meaningful, because it's all about making bread. Then how can we make people feel better, feel good? So retailers can help people unwind, can help people relax, so they can shop to be stopped. This is a supplier of telephones and all kinds of technological devices in London, and this is a very new shop. As you can see, it's the opposite of this showroom. It's very busy. There are many colors, many lights, many things are asking for your attention. And in Europe, many shops look like this, very, very busy. So if you go in there, at some point, you're totally overwhelmed by the experience. And therefore, they have also made this space where you can simply sit and relax. They help you to unwind, this retailer, which is basically also what NIO is offering here. You can come in, sit down, have a coffee, so well done. Then designers need to build community. That's also happening here. You're all part of the NIO community, because it's better to be together instead of feeling lonely. This is an example, an extreme example perhaps in Japan. And in Japan there are communal bathhouses. So all kinds of men who live in a specific community and all kinds of women in another space, they visit this bathhouse and they share that bathhouse. They feel part of the community. And when they are done, they can have a coffee here, relax and talk a little bit. So this is a very simple way to bring people together and to let them have a good time. Then what makes people feel better is when they are in touch with nature. And a very difficult word to explain that is biophilia. We love nature, and that's more than plants in pots. This is the new headquarters of Booking.com, and that's a technology company based in Amsterdam, where you can book hotel rooms. So it's, I don't know if it's comparable to something you know in China, but you probably have similar companies. And as you can see, it's a big building. There's lots of wood, and there are lots of plants everywhere. A green wall. There's lots of daylight. At this side, there's everywhere there's daylight. And you can work here. You can work everywhere here in the greenery. So this is an office that is very green and very light. There's lots of fresh air. And this is making the people who work there feel good. It's not an environment that exhausts you, that makes you tired. And this is the effect of natural materials like wood and of plants on people. It's a good effect. It's healthy. So I spoke about involving user communities. So in NIO's case, that's you in the design process for more successful and more meaningful spaces. That means that companies like NIO, but also governments, should enter a co-creation process. They should consult the community that they serve. A very extreme example of this is in Amsterdam. This here is a community of houseboats. So people live here on these boats. This is a house, and that is a house, this is a house, and that is a house. And they are all connected. And it's based on the initiative of some people, some friends, who thought, we want to live on the water together as friends. How can we make that happen? And they approached the Amsterdam municipality. And the Amsterdam municipality said, no, we don't help you. And then they pushed and pushed and pushed these people. And in the end, the Amsterdam municipality said, okay, we'll give you this piece of water and you just do what you want to do, but we won't help you. They sat together, the friends, they invited architects, and together with the architects, they designed this floating community, and they built it together with architects. It took more than 5 years. And as you can see, they generate their own energy with solar panels. They have a shared car park, so they share cars. They recycle the wastewater from toilets and from showers. They recycle it, they clean it, and they reuse it. They also have a community space that everybody from this community can use to celebrate a birthday in or to have an event in. And this is working so good that even the mayor of Beijing came over to have a look here, how the government of Amsterdam made this happen. So this is an initiative taken by the users of this community, and is very successful. There's not enough space for all of us, so we should share space as much as possible. And how can you do that? By sharing living facilities, by sharing working facilities, by sharing lots of other things. I don't know if you have heard about the student hotel. It's now called the Social Hub. It started in the Netherlands, and that was a building with only rooms for students who studied at a university in Amsterdam. But of course in the summer, these rooms were empty because the students were on holiday. So then the hotel thought, the rooms are empty, we rent them out as hotel rooms to whoever wants to go on holiday in Amsterdam. And this worked very well. And then in the next building, they included hotel rooms for everybody from the beginning. And then in the next building, they invited people to come over to work here. And so now there are 18 of these hotels all over Europe, and you can go there and take a room in the hotel. You can work there. There's a swimming pool. You can exercise there. There's a gym. You can have a meeting there. You can come in and organize any events there. So it's very, very busy all the time for all kinds of activities. And the spaces here are never empty. They are shared continuously for all kinds of activities. This is a bit difficult. I don't even know myself, but this is, yeah, how to say that? It's a new area in London. Residential area for people to live in. But the developer of this area wants this area to be really lively and successful. And they thought, how do you do that? How do you create a new neighborhood and make it really buzzing and successful? People want to go there, do things. And they thought, we collaborate with a fashion designer known for his approach to fashion in a very sustainable way. It's Christopher Rayburn. And they invited this fashion designer to open a shop there. But the fashion designer not only has a shop here, it's also a workshop. So they make things here. And you can go in and see them making things here. And it's also a space where they hold events. And in certain circles in London, this fashion designer is very popular. So what happens? People want to experience what is happening in this space. There's always something going on. It's cool. You want to be there. So people go to that neighborhood. There's all kinds of activities going on. Other artists think, hey, this is cool. I want to have my studio or my workshop also in this area. And before you know it, designers and artists have taken a seat in this neighborhood. Other people like artists and designers, they come over and want to live in this neighborhood because the neighborhood is cool. And years later, the entire neighborhood is very popular. People want to live there and they want to go there. And it all started with this initiative by this fashion designer. So in real estate, many developers are asking the same question. You build an apartment tower, how can you make it attractive? How can you make it, how can you build a community in or around that apartment building? And this is a way to do it, to invite creative people, artists and designers. Yeah, I've been talking about this space, that it's now a showroom, but maybe in 5 years it will be something else, and that needs to be possible. We need to be able to change this space very easily without making a lot of waste. So a way to do that is leave room for change and interpretation. This is an office space in Germany. And as you can see, it doesn't look like a regular office space. It looks like, yeah, I don't know what it looks like. It's, what are these? What can you do here? And just because of that reason, that it's a bit of this and a bit of that, you can use these elements in many ways. They have wheels, so you can put them somewhere else. You can sit here, but you can also combine them. Then you have a little event space. You can have a meeting here, and this is somewhere else. In the same building, also this cabin is on wheels. You can work here, you can work here, but you can also put them together, and you have a little room for brainstorms or for focus. So the designers, they did not design the space for a very specific function. They let it to the user to make use of all kinds of elements and put them together in the way they need these elements. So it's a difficult word, but the space is ambiguous. It's not for one single function. It's open to many functions. Modularity is very important. If you want to be able to change a place very fast. So this is a shop for the furniture brand Hey. It's in Tokyo in Japan. And as you can see, it is made with very simple elements. They are not stylish, they are not very beautiful, they are not very refined, but they are very functional, and they enable the store manager to change the shop every month, every season, in a very easy way without needing to demolish things or create waste. Because as you can see, you can pull out these cabinets very easily, because this is standard scaffolding elements. You can easily take this out or make it bigger, make it smaller, make it wider, and do something else with it. So this shop has not been designed for only one function and one season and one collection. No, you can easily change it to whatever you like to do here. And this is what we call agility or adaptability or flexibility, many words you can use. And another thing that you need to do if you want to change a space very quickly is design it, build it, and then easily dismantle it. So take it down and then repeat the whole thing over again. This is actually a trade fair stand that was used here in Shenzhen a couple of years ago. And as you can see, it's the same kind of thinking. It's a standard way to construct a trade fair stand with, but you can easily take all of the elements and make something new out of them the next time you will go to a trade fair. So there's no waste, and you can reuse and reuse and reuse the same system time and time again. And the last chapter I want to present to you is how to minimize the environmental impact, the impact on the Earth, on the planet. First of all is simply do less. Use less material and emit less harmful substances. This is actually a house. People live here in Spain, in Barcelona. And as you can see, it is not really finished. Like here, the walls are finished with wood, and there's built-in lighting, and there is a glass here. But here, the designers left things like this as they found them. So they just found the house like this, and they inserted the bare minimum with very simple materials, very cheap materials, just enough to make the space work. So if you want to go to the toilet, you push the door to the right and you have a private space to go to the toilet. Is it a beautiful space? Maybe not. Or maybe it is. Maybe in a couple of years from now, we think, wow, this is super cool. I want to have something similar. I'm now here in Shenzhen in the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is a beautiful hotel. It's luxury, it's big rooms, and it's super, super nicely designed. But personally, I would also be happy here. I like this rough aesthetic, the way that the designers left everything like they found it. And this is another part of the apartment. It almost looks the same as this trade fair stand. You know, the same kind of system has been used. I think it's very exciting, and I think we need to learn to understand the beauty of this way of designing spaces. It's rough, it's unfinished, but it has a different kind of beauty. You can see and you can feel history here. This space has been something else before, And these things are the witnesses of that. You know that you're part of history. And this looks perhaps like it's cheap, it's a little bit dirty, but actually if you look carefully, it's designed in a very precise way. Now, I love it. Reusing spaces and reusing materials can be as good and as beautiful as making something new. Sometimes new is simply overrated. Why do we always want something new? This is a Aesop, you know the brand, the skincare brand, shop in Nashville in the USA. And in Nashville, houses in the past were built with these wooden frames. And the designers from France, they came in and they saw these elements somewhere, and they decided to reuse these timber beams as displays. So they didn't do anything, they just put them in the store and made these shelves, and that's it. And again, it's very rough. It is perhaps not very polished and not very refined, but I think it's beautiful. The contrast between this old wood and the new highly polished elements is simply beautiful, I think. So we have been speaking about reducing, doing less, reusing. Now recycling is a way to be less harmful to the planet. Collect materials and products, take them apart, and transform them into something else. This is a pop-up shop in department store Selfridges in London, and it's for the leatherware brand Coach. Very expensive, beautiful leather bags. But this display, this pop-up shop, has been made with recycled material, with recycled wood, and elsewhere with recycled leather, cut-offs from the bags, the leather that could not be used by Coach to make bags with, and they made the interior with this waste material and transformed it into something else that, to my taste, looks pretty good. Have taste, love waste. Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. This is the side of the pop-up store. And as you can see, again, the contrast between the high fashion and the expensive leather bags and the cheap recycled materials is great, and is actually producing quite an exciting space altogether. Repairing. If something is broken, don't throw it away, have it repaired. It increases the lifespans of products and spaces. So this is what Nike did with its bot-initiated longevity lab. Very difficult. It's called Bill. I think this is in the House of Innovation in Paris. You can go to the store with your shoes and have them cleaned by this robot, and also have them, if they are broken, have them repaired here in the store by this robot. So that extends the lifespan of your sneakers. And of course, Nike wants to sell you new shoes too. And the last thing I'd like to share with you is that it's very important to bring greenery back to the city, to rewild the city, make the city wilder. Why? Especially here in Shenzhen, it's important to reduce heat, because if there's too much concrete and glass and steel in cities, the heat stays in the city. It absorbs water. Maybe you've seen the floodings in New York some weeks ago and in Madrid a couple of months ago. if there's only concrete and hard materials, the water cannot disappear, so therefore you need plants and trees. And it's important to diversify nature, because some insects and some birds, they have disappeared, and we need these insects and these birds to survive as humankind. So to bring them back, we need to have a diverse nature in cities. And actually companies like NIO too, could help achieve this. You know IKEA, the big blue boxes with the yellow letters. This is IKEA in Vienna, in Europe, in Austria. And as you can see, this is totally different than the IKEA stores you know. It's not blue, it's not closed, it's open, it has windows, it has balconies, and it has lots of plants and trees and solar panels. So even with a commercial project, a shop, you can help to make the city a better space by bringing greenery back to the city and helping to bring plants, bees and birds and insects back to the city. So, how can we make every space matter? We need to think about better, more memorable experiences, the well-being of the users of spaces. We need to understand that people want to be connected to other people, they want to feel part of a bigger community. Spaces need to be agile or adaptable or flexible so that we can quickly transform them into something else without producing any waste. And of course, we need to think more about making them more sustainable, bringing back greenery, recycling more, doing less. And in the end, that will lead to spaces that matter for all of us, for people and for the planet. Thank you very much. In the Netherlands and in maybe also Switzerland and also Korea, I've seen very good examples, is that people live with a smaller space, which can be beautiful, but have many shared spaces, like a big kitchen, like a space for events, for birthdays, for instance, like a space to work in, a shared workspace, like a shared garden, like a shared roof terrace. And even in Amsterdam, there's an apartment building, quite big. It's not high-end, maybe medium-end, and it has a shared cinema. So people who live in that apartment building can use that cinema. So this is happening, that it is very difficult, especially for younger people and for people with smaller budgets, to rent an affordable space. So therefore they need to be happy with a smaller space, but then be able to share all of these other things. The garden, the kitchen, the cinema, the swimming pool, the roof terrace, the working space, etc. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, that actually very good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I think this will happen, and it offers huge possibilities for a brand like NIO. I mean, you want to be some kind of platform for like-minded people. And now you come in here, you perhaps have a coffee, you sit down and relax, or you bring your child here, your child can play here. But what else can you imagine you could be doing here? What else could NIO mean for you? And this is what I meant with creating meaningful spaces. What is meaning something to you? Maybe you work around here and you want your, I don't know, your orders be delivered here at NIO and you pick them up at NIO. Or maybe you want to have to buy your basic groceries here at NIO. So maybe there could be a basic grocery store here. Or maybe NIO is very generous and is offering startup designers or artists possibility to sell their products here in the showroom. So you open up the platform that you have to other small companies who can share their products and sell their products here. So it's a matter of being creative and interacting with your user community. What do they want from you? And then you can make that happen. And on the other side, you can think, hey, NIO stands for experiential, a certain lifestyle. What other brands fit to the same kind of idea, to the same kind of lifestyle? And maybe we can offer them a space here. And you can be generous and share your space with these smaller brands and offer them a platform for the NIO users to get to know these smaller brands. So that's also brand building for NIO in a very positive way. So I presented some examples of big spaces, and your question is, can you apply the same way of thinking to small spaces? Yes, I think you can. I don't see why not. To begin with, and there's at least one car brand that I know that is doing this, is to make it possible to share your car with other people. I lease a car in Europe, and my car is in my garage for maybe 95% of the time. It's a pity. It's a waste of space and a waste of the product. And there's one car brand that I know of, it's from China, Lynk & Co, that enables you to subscribe to the car. And if you subscribe, you can also share your car if you're not using it. And then if you share your car with other people, they pay you to use your car, so you pay less to Lynk & Co. So there are ways to share even small spaces like this car. But again, we need to create a system to make that happen. You probably also know bike sharing and scooter sharing initiatives. They are very, very small products and very small spaces that can be shared between many people. So that's one thing. Sharing is also possible with small spaces. But you can also think the other way around. So you own a very small space, the car is very small. How can you create an ecosystem around the car that you can also use? A way of doing this is opening spaces like this. The NIO showroom is in effect an extension of your small car space. If you buy the very small car, you can also use this very big space. So that is offering you the possibility to use a space that you not own, but you can still use it. Again, it's a matter of thinking in different systems, different concepts, and the concept of owning something sometimes could better be replaced by the concept of sharing something. And the concept of owning a product could perhaps be replaced by the concept of having an experience. So we come from a time, and we still live in that time, where people find it very important to buy very expensive products, like very expensive fashion or bags or other things to show off with. But you could also think of leaving those products in the shop and doing something else with the money. Go on a holiday, for instance, and have a great experience, or have a nice evening out with the person that you like or love, and you have a very nice experience. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think all of these principles that I shared can be applied to any type of space and to many products. But it requires a different way of thinking. It requires very often a different ecosystem around the space or around the product. I think what this shows is that you can design products and you can design spaces for more than one function. So this chair has been designed to sit on, is very clear. You cannot do anything else with this product. You cannot, well, you can stand on it, but it will get dirty. So it's actually the only thing you can do. You can sit on it, and you can perhaps hang your coat on it. That's all, which is a very limited way of using that product. So you, as a person, you need to bend yourself around the chair. The chair is only meant for one or two functions. If you don't need these functions, the chair is useless to you. But it can also be the other way around. And I think it's important to start thinking like that we design spaces and products that bend around you as a person. So this thing, it's just there, and you can do many things with it. You can sit here just by yourself. You can sit here with maybe up to 6 people, and if you push these things together, they form a little auditorium. You can stand here, you can stand here, you can stand here. You can even use it to transport heavy things, because if you lift this, there are wheels here, and you can drive this thing to another space. So you can use this for more than one function. And it's up to you how you use this thing, which is a completely different approach than the chair we've been talking about. You can only sit on that chair, and that's it. So this is possibly more valuable than the chair, because it can serve more needs that you have. If we go back to Bauhaus, Bauhaus was very much about thinking about one function and giving objects and spaces a shape to make the most of that one function. So a chair should be comfortable, it should support your back, it should have a soft seat so you can comfortably sit on the chair. That is the Bauhaus way of thinking. This, perhaps, is an alternative way, which is putting things upside down. This object and this space says, use me however you want. Use me whenever you want. Use me alone, use me with more people, use me when you need me. And if you don't need me, I can be something else for somebody else. And this is another way of thinking about design. We have been speaking about design for a very long time as making things beautiful, making things desirable, and this is still important. But even more important is thinking about design as a way to shape our lives, to enable us to live our lives in a better way. This means that we should not only be thinking about products and spaces, we should be thinking about systems, about concepts, about much bigger ideas. I was talking about sharing cars, sharing spaces, sharing apartments. This is only possible if you create a system that enables this sharing. So it requires a lot of thinking to make that possible. And I think this is the next phase of design. It's not only to give shape to products and shape to spaces, but we need to give shape to systems, to ecosystems for products and spaces and services to exist in and to be more valuable for more people.